Okay, so we've done the setup and we've filled our pipe, and now it's time for the good bit, lighting the pipe. Now, some of you might recall from my original Pipe 101 video that the advice I was given by the guy who taught me how to smoke a pipe was you set one end on fire, you suck on the other end, and then you blow out some smoke. So, I mean, you can do that and it might work a little bit, but there certainly is a good method that will make your pipe light faster, easier, and keep it burning for longer as you carry on smoking your bowl. And that method is known as the false light, true light technique. So it's not dissimilar to, if you're familiar with smoking handmade cigars, how you crown the edge of the cigar first and then you go on to lighting it fully. Very, very similar concept except for pipes. So I'm going to show you that now. If you're playing along at home, for this bit you will need a lighter, your pipe and tobacco obviously, and this is where you need a tamper. I've actually swapped out my lighter for this rather snazzy one that has a pipe lighter head and then a fold out tamper on the bottom. So very handy, because I don't know about you, but I very rarely forget to take a lighter out with me, but I don't always remember to bring a tamper, so having one that's attached is very, very useful. But anyway, on to actually lighting. One last thing I'll say is I've noticed with a few people when they're first taking up a pipe, there seems to be an instinct to put the lighter right into the bowl and try and light here. Not really ideal. You're much better off lighting the lighter away from the pipe and then using your breath to draw the flame down into the tobacco. So I'll start with the false light, which, as I said, is basically just charring and preparing the tobacco. So when I do this, you should see the tobacco sort of slightly ignite, but it won't really stay lit, so it's better if I just show you. So hopefully you'll see there, the tobacco's sort of lit, there's bits of it that are burning, and it sort of spread and expanded a little bit, but if I now go to puff, see, it's already gone out. And I could do that over and over again, and eventually it might actually stay lit. But what's much better to do is, in fact, I'll just give a little extra top up to show you. So basically just make sure you've got a nice coverage. Hopefully you can see in there, the tobacco's singed, there's some little bits of ash showing, but it's still not, it's not really lit. I got like a tiny little bit of smoke when I did that. So what I'm going to do now is take my tamper, I'm going to tamp back down the tobacco back to its original level. And now I go on to the true light. So hopefully when I relight it this time, you should see it take as much more of a, almost like an ember. So hopefully if I do this, you'll see the difference. If you notice from that, it's more ashy, I'm getting much thicker smoke. I might need to relight it a little bit more there, but it's certainly on its way to smoking more. So now, if I just tamp it down again, you basically just repeat that process until your pipe is lit properly. So I'm just going to keep doing it. If you notice, I'm using slow, steady breaths as well while moving the flame around, just to make sure I've got a nice even coverage. And eventually, if I just keep repeating that, the pipe will just stay lit after a little while. I always say to people when they're first taking up a pipe, don't be disheartened if your pipe is going out literally every single puff. That's not actually that unusual. Pipes are very different to cigars, and especially cigarettes, where they won't just stay lit if you leave them, if you stop and chat. but as long as you're using like an odourless flame, you're not going to affect the taste of the tobacco. Just tamp and relight whenever you need to, and suddenly after a bit you'll just realise that you haven't been relighting your pipe for a bit. It is one of those things that you will just pick up over time, and very much a case of practice makes perfect. So hopefully that's given you everything you need to know about getting your pipe lit. So I'm going to move on to the next thing.